Welcome to class. My name is Dr. Mark Bowles, and I will be your professor in this course. One of the potential limitations of an online classroom is that it can be a challenge to really get to know each other. So I wanted to take a few minutes to tell you a little bit about myself in a more personal format with video, which I think is better than the raw text that you can read in the introductory forum. So for the next few minutes, I would like to share some of the images of the people and the places that have shaped my life and brought me into this classroom with you today.
I live in Northeast Ohio, and my academic career started here at the University of Akron, where I earned my undergraduate degree in psychology and a master's degree in history. Then, in 1993, I was accepted at Case Western Reserve University, where I started work on my Ph.D. in the history of science and technology. Here's a picture of Rodin's The Thinker, which seems to survey the university from its perch across the street at the Cleveland Museum of Art. My dissertation was on the history of computing and the information explosion, and as a result I was selected to be the Tomash Fellow at the University of Minnesota for a year at its Charles Babbage Institute.
I completed my Ph.D. in 1999, but during the 1990s I became very interested in public history and started my first company with another historian called History Enterprises to write books for institutions interested in sharing their history with the public.
I spent a great deal of time working with NASA, where I interviewed hundreds of key employees from administrators to astronauts, helped to build historical archives, and most importantly, wrote several books. My first was Taming Liquid Hydrogen, which was a history of the Centaur rocket, and here I am at one of the book signings, and that's me there on the right. I called my second book for NASA Science in Flux, and it was a history of NASA's nuclear program at Plumbrook Station. This was an exciting book to write, and at times I felt like an archaeologist exploring the ruins of a shut-down reactor. Here is an image of the reactor back in the 1960s when it was operational and it was testing components for a planned nuclear rocket to Mars. The project never transpired, and the reactor was eventually decommissioned or torn down. My final major book for NASA was The Apollo of Aeronautics, and this explored the history of a massive energy efficiency program for aircraft in the 1970s and 1980s. Many of the fuel efficiency achievements on aircraft today are a result of this program. I was fortunate because in each of the years that NASA published these books, 2004, 2006, and 2009, the American Institute of Aeronautics and Astronautics, the AIAA, honored my writing with their History Book of the Year award. Here I am at the Ohio Aerospace Institute giving a lecture and receiving the AIAA recognition for the Apollo of Aeronautics. While I was working with NASA, I also divided my time writing books in the history of medicine. I wrote three, one for the Cleveland Clinic, a second for St. Francis Hospital and Medical Center in Connecticut, and finally a book on the Association of American Medical Colleges, which is located in Washington, D.C. You can see all three of those books on the screen right now. In 2008, I founded my second public history company called Bell History, and it is the vehicle for all my current book writing projects. You can check it out on the web at bellhistory.com. In total, I've written 14 books, and here are some on the screen right now, and I promise I'm not going to talk about all of them, but I've also written 3 college-level textbooks that I want to share with you. These include an introduction to digital literacy. Remember, my Ph.D. focuses on the history of computing and information. My second was called Science and Culture Throughout History, which enabled me to focus on one of my passions, which is the history of science. And my final textbook was a history of the United States from 1865 to the present, which I subtitled The End of Isolation.
So you might be asking how I got started in teaching online in 2009. Well, in 2003, I sold my first public history company, and I became a part owner and a vice president at a company called TechPro. We sold scientific instruments for the rubber industry all over the world.
You can see one of our machines on the screen right now at the right. A rendering of our building is on top, and at the bottom left is one of our prototype automation projects. And it was during this period that I felt that I needed to combine my real-world managerial experience with some academic training. Since I was working a full-time job and then some, I decided to start an online MBA program in technology management at the University of Phoenix. And this was my very first experience with the online world.
Soon after earning that degree, we at TechPro became concerned about a possible economic downturn in 2008. And we were right about this as our sales were declining. And we were lucky to sell the company to a Fortune 1000 firm just months before the stock market started tanking or crashing or whatever you want to call it in 2008. So at that point, I was looking for my next adventure in life, and because I enjoyed the online experience so much, I decided that I wanted to devote myself to becoming an online professor. And in 2009, I wound up here. The rest is, as they say, history. So now that my work history and my academic career is out of the way, I thought I would introduce you to my family and also share some of my personal passions in life.
I've been married to my wife Nancy since 1990. Our oldest daughter Isabel was born in 2000, and our twins Emma and Sarah came in 2009. And here we are getting ready to board a canal boat on the Ohio and Erie Canal. As far as personal interests and passions, I love going on long hikes, climbing rocks, investigating caves, and contemplating the beauty of nature. We're very lucky because we live very close to the Cuyahoga Valley National Park, and there's lots of interesting nooks and crannies to explore there. I'm also somewhat addicted to working out, and I enjoy challenging myself with the P90X programs in my basement, as well as some of the more meditative practices such as Tai Chi, Qigong, and Yoga. Here's my wife and I after tackling the Order of the Arrow course at the Cuyahoga Valley National Park. I am a Cleveland sports fanatic, and here I am at the Cleveland Cavaliers game last year with my daughter. LeBron James is a personal favorite of mine, as he is from Akron, Ohio, like myself, and he actually lives about 15 minutes down the road from me. I also like volunteering my time for social justice outreach programs through my church. One example is the Peter Morin Center here in Akron, which serves the homeless. You can see a picture of the outside of the building at the bottom of the screen, and at the top, some of our guests waiting to get some food for the day. And I do extend my volunteering to some semi-crazy stunts like the polar bear plunge back in 2013. This was for the food bank in Northeast Ohio, and I was jumping into a lake on a brisk 26-degree day, but the sun was shining at least. Finally, as you might expect, I have a lot of fun in the digital world, and I wanted to share some of the social media sites that I belong to. Feel free to join me on any or none of them. They include Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, academia.edu, Instagram, Goodreads, Blogspot, and About Me.
So if you join me on any of these sites, certainly drop me a line and say hello. Well, that brings me to the conclusion of my personal and professional background. And I just want to say that I greatly look forward to meeting you in class and learning about your goals for the future and also your passions in life. So I wish you well in the weeks ahead, and I will see you in the classroom.